Good morning. Parents' cultures have had both positive and negative effects on their children's actions, such as the action of their academic behavior. And my question is, to what extent has the parental culture had a positive impact on in the United States in the academic behavior of their children since 1980? Parental culture has had a positive impact coming from the perspectives of parents, students, and researchers. These claims can be further divided into homeschooling, parental or significant other influence, or involvement, and academic motivation. The YouTube video from Nikon Europe and provided by College Board shows the cultural inheritance passed down from parent to child, and the video shows the singing of the songs of freedom, which is a Cuban song, and it shows how there are adolescents ranging from very young age to an elderly age, and how they are singing together. And those children must have picked up that song from someone, and that someone is their parents. And by passing on that song, they are able to express and emphasize their culture and tradition. However, there are negative effects, such as the impact on their child's mental health. Homeschooling's benefits on education from the perspectives of their parents. Here, an academic journal from Hunsinger and Jose, who are researchers, shows how Chinese parents who use the homeschool teaching method can be more critical of a school report card compared to a typical school's report card. This shows how if Chinese parents or a different ethnic group choose to do things differently, they will view things differently, such as the report card shown in this academic journal. And if they view these things differently, then they might do things differently. For example, they may be more strict, which can lead to better grades and a more positive impact on their academic education. Here in this chart adapted from Roya, who is an expert who is a healthcare specialist, and it shows the grown homeschoolers, who are the homeschoolers that are now grown, and the homeschool parents, who are the parents who are homeschooling. And over here, it shows the total participants, which are individuals of 1,016, and it shows a spectrum of education from no formal education all the way to a college's doctorate degree. Here, it shows that 11 or 1% of these homeschoolers have no formal education, while there are 410 or 39% that have a bachelor's degree, and there are 181 or 17.2% that have a master's degree. And finally, there are 37 or 3.5% that have a doctorate degree. This shows how even people who are homeschooled can earn a college degree. And even over here, it shows that they can earn a college or associate's degree, which takes the part of the majority. And the positives overall outweigh the negatives of no formal education, and it just shows how they can get similar schooling compared to public or private schooling, or even better. Here it shows the positive parental involvement from the students' perspective. Here, from Lee and Bowen, they talk about how there are there's a dominant and there's a non-dominant group, and how those two groups have similar benefits of parental involvement, and how if parents are involved, they can have a benefit overall. And here, for Ryan, it compares white parents to Latino parents and their amount of significant other involvement, and how if Latinos have a higher significant other involvement, and how that can lead to academic improvement. Here, from researchers Graff and Dirk, they say that Purdue's classical cultural reproduction theory argues that parents' involvement in high materials at home is helpful to children's scholastic performance. This shows how parental involvement can overall lead to a benefit of education. The positives from academic motivation. From APA PsycNet, it talks about how American and Chinese students had parental involvement, which overall had the result motivation. And the result of motivation can lead to better education. Here from Alexandra and Kober, which are experts of sociology. They say the circumstances in which children are raised and the involvement of their parents in their early education play a role in shaping academic mindset and motivation. Culturally sensitive parental involvement programs that focus on ways to create stimulating home environment and motivate children to achieve can make a difference. This shows how if motivation in the early development of children are practiced, then that can lead the benefit of more studying more, practicing more can overall be gained from this motivation. And that would obviously lead to a better performance in academics. In the same paper, it says that this review found that families can have strong influence on a variety of school outcomes, including development and maintenance of positive motivation, which shows how the positive motivation can lead to this academic behavior. However, there is a mental health impact, and here from Roya, again, a specialist of healthcare, from her, it says that a text shows that relationship between ethnicity and household income, and shows how a specific ethnic group can have a specific outcome, such as poverty. And from Shanahan, in an academic journal from him, it shows how the correlation between poverty and a negative mental health, and how if these specific ethnic groups are in poverty, then they can overall lead to a negative mental health. My solutions and limitations are that to have parents supervise their children more strictly, and to have financial support for their children's safety for those who are not financially supported, and to purchase necessities such as therapy and cameras. My limitations are that parents that may be financially supported may not want to spend their funds on this necessity. Here's my works cited. Thank you.
Would you like me to ask you some questions?
Yes.
I do have 2 questions for you. First up, how valid and reliable were the sources that you use, and then how do you know?
So the validity of my sources are valid because I fact-checked them. I looked into the authors and how much references they made and what type of source it was. And can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sure. Just how valid and reliable were the sources that you used?
Yeah, and there were some sources that were not as reliable, but they were more reliable than other sources that are just plain text. Their authors were credible, such as they were from researchers from different universities and different departments of that class.
Okay. And if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct on this issue?
If I had more time, I would conduct the research of the flexibility of how homeschooling would bring the effect. So that would go even more specifically into homeschooling, how it can have the flexibility of different locations or different times, and how it can be emphasized in that way.
We're done, my friend.